What is going on today, everybody? Welcome to Winners, Wallets, and Worldviews Live. Tonight we have a great show coming at you. We're going to talk about making a murderer. If you guys remember from the Wisconsin area, that's where we are. We're near Manitowoc, Wisconsin. Yes, the area where the Avery residents live. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about that this evening. We're also going to be talking about quick rant about Marissa's thermostat, but that's after this. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to Winners, Wallets, and Worldviews, the only show that's going to teach you
how to be somebody.
Where in your life did you learn that you're not good enough?
Take what you're most passionate about and what you're most fearful of, and what is the plan to overcome that fear, and what is the plan to enact that passion.
All right, guys. So if you don't know, we've moved in to our new residence here above the Marissa's Fifth Boutique studio that everybody knows about because it's arguably the best place in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Arguably. Now, so what we wanted to share with you guys was, first of all, I don't know if anybody else goes through this, but Ed Milet, he talks about this really cool concept about when you're at a standard in your life. He says it's like a thermostat. It's like when your body starts heating up, you want to cool it down, and when you're too cold, you'll heat it up, and those are like the standards in your life. And he's talking about this. I think it's just an awesome idea. And then I started thinking about my interactions with the thermostat. And you know what ends up happening is Marissa turns it up to 75 or 76 degrees. And who lives in 75 or 76 degrees? So, guys, listen here. Physicists, chemists, doctors, probably a lot of other smart people know that 72 degrees is room temperature. And I'm dying here. This is going to be the cause of our marriage to end. I'm going to be in public. You know,
I really hope not.
I mean,
that's really something very trivial.
Well, it's super traumatic. But here's the thing. You know, we've gone public with our relationship, which I mean, what does that mean? We're Facebook friends, but we market things together. We're involved in business together. It would be a real shame if the thermostat was just the nail in the coffin on your freaking marriage. But anyway, guys, we wanted to share with you, we've been watching on Netflix this show called Making a Murderer. And Making a Murderer is a documentary series about a murder case that happened in Wisconsin. If you guys are familiar with it, you're going to find this show really interesting. If you're not familiar with it, you got to go watch it and then come back and rewatch this because we're going to go into some analysis on this case. Now, this case was about Steven Avery. And Steven Avery was some dude that got falsely accused of, was it rape or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was put in jail for...
It was a sexual assault case.
18 years.
Yeah, this was like so there's two seasons right now. So the first season was kind of setting up his wrongful accusation, his wrongful imprisonment case to set up, I think, season 2, and we'll talk about that in a little bit too, I think.
Yeah, so season 1 was all about how he was framed, and it's just all this complicated stuff going on. I mean, how complicated we want to get into this, because this could be a really sick conversation here.
This could be a long conversation.
But we're assuming there's some level of understanding you have with the show, or you've watched the Netflix series before going into this, because we don't have time to recap the whole thing, but we're definitely going to cover some opinions or some thoughts on the show in general. So, with that said, guys, this is actually Dan's idea. Okay.
I like that you right away. You just shove it off on Dan.
This is my idea.
This is
Dan's
We're gonna get the most views.
It's all his genius.
Dan's the producer of the show, and he's like, dude, you see that Making a Murderer shit? We're just like, yeah, he's like, I'm gonna come on that one. I'll actually be on camera for the freaking that one. I was like, all right, let's do this thing, because Marissa and I are watching this, and Marissa's just like, when she watches documentary, she'll be like, oh my gosh, this is truth. You know, no matter what it is. But when we were here, and I was a lot younger. I don't know. I was probably high school and all this was going on. And, the whole state of Wisconsin painted this freaking Avery guy as just guilty as shit. Totally freaking guilty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was all the evidence. That's just it. All the evidence that they had against him, his physical evidence at the time, just painted him. And, the statements that the prosecutor actually did it publicly to the news. It was it was a huge media storm, I felt like. Because I was a little bit older when this was happening. And just seeing the news cover this. I mean, first of all, the saddest part of it is the Halbach family, that they lost their daughter.
Yeah.
That's the biggest tragedy of this whole thing. But like
Really
that-
young age too.
Yeah,
Wasn't she like 28
she's
or something?
Yeah, it's 25, I think.
25.
Yeah, she was and she was a photographer too. So it was like for me, I was just starting to get into like my photography and stuff like that. So it was like I was following it pretty closely during the actual trial.
Weren't you like over? Weren't you say you were like over in that area, or you went to school over there? Or
Well, I grew up in Brillion, so
Yeah, so you're, like,
she's
really-
from Hilbert, so it's like
Very close.
very very close.
Yeah, that's
so
really nuts.
I didn't know the Halbach family personally, but I like my heart goes out to her. My heart goes out to them, like that they had to go through this, and like with the series now bringing everything up too. It's
Gotta go
just,
through
like,
it again.
Yeah, it's like they got to be going through torture, but again, the series brings up a lot of really interesting questions, and like for me, like as a family, like I would want to know if he really was the guilty person. But there might have been stuff in the actual case.
Well, do you think you'd really want to know that? Like, if you're, God forbid, in that person's shoes, like, do you just want closure more than you want truth?
I know, and that's
You
what
know?
I wonder. Is like really like they've had to have let go of Teresa first and make that peace with that, and I think whoever did it, like if it was Avery or if it was somebody else, like whatever the conspiracy theories are, it's like finding out the truth. I think is like the goal. I think of what the court systems are, and I don't know if the court, like the way the documentary and docuseries kind of paints the picture is that the court systems didn't do a fair job.
Right.
It was a poor investigation, I guess, and that's my biggest frustration with it all, is that I feel like the investigation was done poorly, that they didn't do the justice to find who the killer really is.
Yeah.
So
What do you think? What do you think of this whole thing, Dan?
Well, one thing I think is what's interesting with the second one is the Halbach family is continuing to show up at all these court proceedings, whether it's in Chicago and whatever. Like they're still very highly invested in this, and this was what 14 years ago. When this
Yeah.
happened with Brendan Dassey, I know it moved all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they were still attending these things. So that tells me that I don't know if that's them trying to still grieve, or if they really do want to know what the truth is going on.
That's
Or
an
if they
interesting
do-
point.
So to me, that was the big. I mean, there was a lot of cool things in the second one, but that was the biggest thing that I saw. Was like how invested they were still in with this whole thing this many years later.
Yeah.
The whole family, the brothers, the mom, the dad, which
Yeah.
I would think at some point you're just like, all right, let's just,
Yeah, I don't wanna show-
Just let it
I don't
go.
want to be with that.
well, that and like to your point, and the family showed up, but also like Ken Kratz then, who's not on the case anymore. He's not part of this anymore.
He's an issue.
He's a big issue for me
He is.
because it seems like he's overly.
They do a good job of making this guy, like, making you really not like this Ken Kratz guy.
But like he does it to himself. Like he's doing these public. He's speaking
I
publicly.
mean, he hasn't.
It's like
he hasn't-
he's trying to sell his
I mean,
book, dude.
He is,
Yeah,
and
well,
then he
that's
had
true.
that
How
issue with-
fucked up is that?
And then he has that thing with the issue with the sending to was it a prisoner or one of his
he
former
was
clients?
he was like
or that was in jail that he was sending, explicit messages to.
Oh, yeah, he had all
a
that
few
weird
years
shit.
Later. So was that just to try to sell the book? Man, maybe.
Yeah.
To try to get his name back in there, but he just that whole area, and we'll get into it more. What is the sheriff's department? It's just a messy situation over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah, there's lots of room for. So I don't know. Like, my opinion watching it. First of all, that freaking lawyer, Catherine Zellner,
Is a
man,
beast.
she's fucking badass.
She's a beast.
she's
Just
awesome.
so competent.
She's doing all the CSI stuff.
Oh, man.
That's the best part about the season 2 is that she's doing all this reenactment stuff, and I'm like, I really get interested in that because I like CSI stuff.
I'm like Googling, how do I go back to law school?
Yeah.
Become a freaking attorney? Like, this Catherine Zellner
She
chick.
is an absolute beast.
Oh,
And
yeah.
what if she like?
Look, hey guys, if this shit goes wrong and I end up in a fuzzy situation, you guys gotta go find her and pay her whatever
yeah.
amount of money it takes to have her be my fucking lawyer.
Well, we can just point her to this podcast
Yeah.
video, and she can see how much that we respect her.
Yeah, good.
Maybe she'll give us a deal.
And she'll see these hella views coming in off this podcast,
Yeah.
and we're gonna give her just fame and fortune and just forget her. My gosh. Yeah. Anyway, that chick's freaking legit, man.
Yeah.
So she's like, if you guys are just like haven't watched this show or whatever, she reenacts every single piece of evidence to verify, like, is this the blood splattering? And here's the thing. I didn't even know, like, I guess you watched Dexter, but I don't watch any of that shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was like a blood splat expert out there.
Yeah.
Like it's so niche of a job. I go to school to be a blood splat expert or whatever.
Yeah, and like this was before, like during the trial, this was before the time of shows like Dexter. Like Dexter was like, I mean, that's a little bit different. Like he was a blood splatter expert in the show, but like he was a murderer too. So it's like it's a different type of show.
The perfect
but, like,
crime.
But like it made me look like because like it made me think of it like looking back at the blood splatters in the second season. It's like seems very logical of like how these blood splattered and why there wasn't any mixing.
Yeah.
Like that to me is the biggest thing is like the physical evidence. There's a lot of it, but it just seems very like almost like it's too neat. Like it's too neat. Like there's no mixing of it. There's only in certain spots, and then I'm like, and when she's reenacting like throwing a body into the car, I'm like, there's gonna be hair. There's gonna be DNA everywhere.
I'll tell you a story about
You know?
hair. All right.
Yeah, hair.
So like in my old house, I'm like the freaking shower's clogged, and I'm like, what the hell's going on with the shower? So like I look in there and I freaking start unclogging it, and I just pull out this like massive.
It's unbelievable what a sink has in there.
This is a shower, dude. And
Well,
then
I'm just saying a sink.
oh, since even got to be worse. I mean,
way
think about all that shit. And then anyway, so Marissa gets this invention. She's like, I found this thing at one of those places that has these really stupid inventions at like an impulse buy at the checkout or something. And she buys this hair catcher for this shower here. So like it's gonna catch all of her hair because she sheds like a freaking animal. And that she gets this thing, and then like it's just like all this like hair is just like stuck to this. And then I started thinking about this documentary. I'm like, if this is anybody, you shed so much damn hair when you have it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm married to a woman that just sheds. Like, and Lola, Jesus, dude, we have wood floors now. You see these like little tumbleweeds just rolling around everywhere. It's like people go through. How does none of that evidence anywhere?
Yeah.
Like, how's none of that crap going on?
Because especially with like the Dassey part of it, and that was what I thought was interesting about the second season is that it focused on both the things going on at once. So, like you see a little bit of Brendan Dassey's case, a little bit of Stephen Avery's case, but like his confession, that's what painted the picture of the rape and the murder, and that was there was no like. As far as I know, is what the documentary showed, and this is where it's a documentary. It's only showing one side. We don't know what actual evidence was submitted into the case, but like as far as I know, there was no physical evidence that supported his like,
Other than his confession.
other than his confession.
Well,
So it's like
well, the confession said that they slit her throat in the bedroom,
yeah,
but there was no blood in the bedroom,
yeah.
Right.
or very little. Well, let's be honest. We've seen movies. It's
Got to be
people
true.
out.
There's a shitload of blood in the movies.
But then it also turned where she was supposedly shot in the head by the car. Well, there would be blood for that. There wasn't that much blood in there. So there's just a lot of things that that was from the first one too. But
What I don't get is like, how come a confession just like completely supersedes all truth? It's like,
That's just it. Like
You know?
you like watching that video and putting myself like thinking about like myself
fucking
as-
investigation's over.
Yeah,
You know,
like putting myself in like a 16-year-old shows like really like and I don't know what his actual IQ or like how he was at that time, but like if he's a slower kid and thinks that saying what they want to hear is gonna get him out of this situation, I totally can see how he would have confessed to a wrong, like led into those questions. Like I can totally understand that but like, and there was even Supreme Court judges that understood that, but then it kept getting shot back down. So it was just like it's confusing to me to see this like the confession, and that's the thing too is like we don't see the whole confession tapes
yeah.
like in the documentary, and that's where I get frustrated with documentaries in some senses. Like they're showing a point of view,
Right.
and it is still an entertainment art form. So it's like you're not getting all the facts.
I don't get how it's just so damn convincing. Like these
Well, they-
documentaries are just. I mean, I read
They use so much emotional time. Like, think if you watch back the second season, how much they are focusing on Avery's family.
Yeah.
And how hard it is for them to get around. Like how old they're
second
getting.
one, right.
Like
Yeah.
they're trying to pull at your heartstrings to really like see. Okay, there's a desperate need to get Avery out to see like for his parents.
Right.
And it's like that's where they're trying to get you the emotional buy-in.
and it's like, no, that's
Yeah,
emotion.
exactly.
logical.
It's like there's a lot of then they show a lot of stuff in the documentary, but you only see what they show you.
Right.
That's just it. You're only seeing what they show you, there might be a ton of other evidence that was actually in the case, that was actually in the confession tapes that we don't see.
Right.
You know, and so it's like it's hard to really have like a like this is truth, like, because you don't know the other stuff, like, because there's probably a ton of stuff they leave out because they can't, because that it damns their point of view then.
Well, you're kind of like a documentarian filmmaker. Like, how would you go about this kind of problem? Like,
well, I mean,
how do you keep it so one-sided and keep it so, like, they had to be meticulously organized at how they pulled
the
all this stuff.
filmmakers, I mean, they picked their characters, and they figured out the story they want to tell, and they picked their characters. The Zellner is a great character because she's doing all the reenactments. That's creating a good case.
And they but if you look at the story, they frame her as the hero.
Yeah,
like, I'm the knight in shining armor. I'm gonna come in here to save the day.
So that's like, what I do like about
that's
this.
So convincing.
This season a lot better than the other one is that this one you're not hearing from Avery as much. You're actually hearing from his defense attorney, who I feel like is a better character. Like, and like it's more interesting seeing that kind of stuff.
Well, she's way smarter.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's smart.
I love the guy. I love Avery. You know, if he's innocent, if he's guilty, like, he should rot in hell. But, you know, like, if he's innocent,
he's a hero.
He's a hero. He's
really
great.
is.
Yeah, but like, and that's just
I don't have an opinion one way or another.
So from the first season, like, because I watched the first couple episodes. Like, after watching the second season, I went back and watched the first season a little bit. First couple episodes and the first couple episodes focused on his wrongful conviction of the rape, and the whole time he was pointing to like I'm innocent, and meanwhile this other guy gets away with it, and commits more rapes and more like that's the hard part for me, is that if he's telling the truth again, you know, and this is
he's like too dumb to come up with this,
like, and that's the other thing too, is like I don't feel like he's smart enough to pull off something so elaborate, like to get away with murder.
Yeah,
or not. Well, he's not really getting away with it. He's suffering.
Smart people can't even pull off this elaborate.
But like, what bugs me
except
is
for
that
OJ.
If he is innocent, the person that did it is out there.
Yeah,
and that, or you know, they might not be out there. They might be dead, which would be.
There's so many conspiracies here, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of conspiracies. The biggest one is like the whole the
fundraiser, like, yeah, because they were getting sued, and then this was a way to stop him from
suing him for millions of dollars.
Yeah,
right, and the county didn't have the money to pay it, so it's like, oh, that's motivation. Here, let's just frame the shit on him, because, you know, he's way too dumb to be able to get his way out of this.
Yeah,
but then he just takes his freaking, you know, hood money and decides he's gonna fucking hire these lawyers out of Milwaukee. But then the new lawyer's like, oh, there's a whole new level of competence, you know, because like in the first series, we're like, these lawyers are freaking legit, these are badasses, they're great. And then now she's like, now we're gonna make them incompetent and make them like, I'm like, how could they be incompetent? Like, you remember the first documentary? She's like, we got to make it seem like you got terrible legal counsel in the first documentary. Like, those dudes look legit. I mean,
and I don't think it was any fault of theirs if he was innocent. And you know, like, it's just that there's probably substantial evidence that they didn't go through or weren't able to get their experts. I don't know the circumstances of the case.
Could have been I mean, you know, judges could dismiss shit. And
should we get into that? Or I know you guys probably didn't watch this as recent as I did, but what were some of the evidence from the second one that like really shook you? What Kathleen has put into it now? Because there's 3 major things that came to me. I don't know if you want me to start.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to start?
The major one for me.
You really thought about this.
I love this. This maybe. I still think Avery did it. I don't know how. He just seems to. I don't. But a lot of this stuff is.
He just looks like he did.
I don't know. Okay, so the bullet guy, where they sent that guy to Arizona. So they pulled the bullet that was supposedly found in the garage, right? Well, they took him under this unbelievable microscope that, like, you know, times it over to get, you know, that deep in there, and all they found was wood fragments from the garage. Well, if it goes through bone, you're gonna have bone fragments in there. So if she was shot where she was supposedly shot through the head, there's gonna be bone fragment. There's gonna be, you know, all kinds of stuff. And there was only pieces of wood on there that was shot through the garage. Well, they said themselves that they shot all around that place. Yeah. Whether it was targets against the garage. So that bullet was probably nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that was the major one. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, and then, like, to get I was to me the bullet was one too. but like they said that they were to get the DNA on it because there's DNA on it.
Yeah.
They were looking at the stuff that was taken of Teresa's, and one of them was chapstick. And when they looked at it, they looked like there was a waxy substance.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's chapstick, probably. You know, like that's just
Right.
that was really alarming for me.
I think
That
some of the
seems-
stuff though that they were trying to talk about, like when she was trying to she's trying to raise a little bit of reasonable doubt that he like some of this evidence was staged and framed or whatever. But it's like, let's think about that. How big of a pain in the ass do you think it would have been to be able to like just stage like the blood that was in the sink and like all that kind of stuff? It's like, I just think it's just a lot of work for an investigator to do that. That's the part that's just hard for me
Well,
to
what
buy.
does she say? She says that she's not trying to prove Steven innocent. She's trying to prove the killer. Or
Yeah,
who
she's
killed him.
looking
Yeah,
for
which
the
she
That's
didn't-
the way she's
which she didn't
going
even
around.
do.
I mean, obviously but she hasn't.
How did she not do that? With
But
all
she-
the freaking evidence, with
Right.
everything that was there, and the whole season was basically like, we're going to just tell them who the freaking real killer is. It's like, okay, then tell us. Well, stay tuned for
they had
season 3.
They
Bullshit.
had like 2 people now that they
Yeah.
Come on.
Now-
and it's the other Dassey kid.
Now that's
a big
This
point.
is the second one. Now
Yeah.
it was one of the last episodes where they go back to talk to Dassey, the brother.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's had unbelievable stuff on his computer hard drive that
Yeah.
wasn't branded. You know, whether and we
Yeah.
won't get into what's on it, but stuff that would make sense of brutally killing people. 2, he just happens to go hunting right at the time when Hallbach's on the property.
Mm-hmm.
And then her reenactment of him following her out. I mean, and then the biggest one is that guy or her supposedly SUV is seen in the stepdad's,
Oh, yeah.
like right by
Yeah.
her property. Guy sees it, goes into the party mart or the gas station, tells the officer who just happens to be that Andrew Colburn, who's been the biggest one that resigned, the guy with the glasses, bald hair,
Yeah.
the main sheriff that was like the first one on the scene.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that doesn't get rerouted back that, no, maybe this SUV was found there. Well,
Yeah.
that's because you guys probably could have moved it.
I
Well,
think
the phone records of that night.
And the phone records don't match either. Right?
Yeah, well, there was a bunch of calls to the ex-boyfriend
Yeah.
the night that supposedly the car was moved,
Yeah.
and so like that, and
And then
that was really annoying.
And it
too.
just happens that ex-boyfriend, that the lady that found the SUV on the property was sent out as a search party team by the
Yeah.
ex-boyfriend. They
Dude.
couldn't talk to him, the guy that's a chiropractor down in Milwaukee. You think
I
he's
think,
getting
dude,
good business down
I
there?
think
or not?
I think we should take the law into our own hands
God.
and
not a good idea.
and document a private investigation series where us 3 get to the bottom of this shit.
Well, we just watched the documentary. That's how
we just
Yeah.
watched the documentary.
We're gonna
This, this gives us all the knowledge we need to start, getting in.
Yeah, Dan, you could represent this freaking guy in court
It
with
was,
how much
it
you know
was
about
really
this
interesting
shit.
though how she does do. I mean, like I said, we only see some of the stuff with those. There's a lot of evidence that.
Here's my
brought up
theory,
in it.
right? This is right because it's my show, right? So here's what
Unless
happened.
you're always right.
Here's what happened. He probably killed her, and then they didn't have quite enough evidence to like really freaking either indict him or get him freaking convicted in court. So they just planted extra evidence on him,
That's what I was
and
thinking.
just
too.
to
I know
just
that's
where probably
it's
what
like,
happened.
That's where I feel like
We're all
they're-
right. We're all right.
Yeah.
Everybody's right. He's wrong and he's
Because
innocent and
didn't
guilty
he,
at the same
like,
time.
Didn't he have like a receipt that he was up in Menards in like Green Bay like 2 hours after or something, like where like the driving times didn't match up to? That was another big thing where
He also
where him
didn't. They didn't let him get cross-examined in the case either. So
Yeah.
that's usually like a big red flag. It's like, oh, you just shut up and sit there. Lawyers got this.
And I get,
You know?
and I get people are pretty crazy when they do, but like, is it crazy like that? He's like just believed, even if he knows he did it or he did it, like he's still believing himself and saying all these things after all these.
Well, right,
years.
there's
like, how is he not cracked? And
There's
just
a
that-
ton of psychology, though. If you repeat the same story over and over and over again, you'll start to believe it. Which is why I believe in doing the positive side of that, like in your business or growth, right? It's like
Great,
you
Great-
convince yourself,
Great
I'm
transition
powerful,
into something.
I'm incredible,
That was a
right?
great
The value,
transition.
delivering value every day. No, that's what it's like, though. It's like if you can tell, like people beat lie detectors by telling themselves the lie over and over again. Imagine if you tell yourself something incredible about yourself, even if you don't believe it, over and over and over again. You can convince yourself that it's real and it's right. And it's like that is what people start doing. That's why positive affirmations and all that stuff really works. Yeah, beautiful transition. I do want to talk for a second on this like non-productive subject matter about how Wisconsin has a lot of nutcases, man.
Crazy.
Like think about the killers that we had.
We got 3 of them in this room.
We got
Well, let's try to name them off.
okay, so we got Ed Gein.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that guy. He's the one that made lampshades out of
Out
people.
of people, which Dahmer.
Dahmer.
Well, no, Ed Gein's even more fucked up. So they made Texas Chainsaw Massacre after that guy. They made the movie Psycho after that guy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, not Psycho. I think for sure Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I think Psycho might have come out before. Anyway, he's a fucked up weirdo. He was over at the freaking mental asylum over here in Oshkosh for the longest time.
So, well, Brandon Dassey's in Oshkosh now too.
Yeah, we're gonna go visit him on our documentary series.
Maybe we can get enough traction to see if we can get an interview.
Yeah. Okay, so we got Jeffrey Dahmer.
Dahmer.
That fucking weirdo.
He's the worst. He might be the worst.
Yeah.
Some of his story. I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah, just Google that shit if you guys are really bored or YouTube something. Freaking weirdo. Nutcase. What's another one? We got, well, Avery's a great one, you know.
Well, we know Avery's innocent.
Wasn't there another just super freaking weird
That
one? I
weird
feel like?
guy up that kidnapped that girl. That guy's weird. They had to move him out of the Wisconsin prisons. Alright, because he was just getting.
Somebody just,
harassed.
what's this story?
That's where that girl. Remember that girl was missing. And her
Oh,
parents
that like
were
young girl,
shot?
and she got away.
Yeah, and she got away.
Fuck
that guy's
yeah.
Weird.
I'm
He
proud
has
of her
no-
for getting away.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, fuck that guy. Dude, you ever see this documentary on what is it? Tony Robbins and somehow got involved with this guy that has this documentary where he goes out and chases down people that are the ringleaders in sex trafficking. And this dude captures them in their native country, brings them to justice in their native country, and then they get the children back. So this dude is in a whole nother level of evil for what he's fucking doing, right?
Yeah,
he's kidnapping children at young ages and bringing them into the country and selling them to people. So this other guy starts this nonprofit, and he's this ex-CIA dude that basically he got put on investigating this whole thing, and he said that he was so handcuffed by the red tape and being in a government agency that he wasn't able to just go out there and do it. So he quits, starts this nonprofit, gets these ex-Navy SEALs, Green Berets, like badasses, like FBI people, and then he goes and brings these people back to justice. It's fucking awesome. So the reason I'm saying that is like we're watching this documentary and I'm like, this dude's legit, like freaking awesome. Like, take my money, I'll donate whatever I can to do this kind of thing, right? And then Marissa comes up with the idea that she's going to go to Colombia on a mission trip. So I'm like, this is cool. Like, it's her way of, expressing her faith and bringing that out to people. But then I just watched this documentary, and Colombia is one of the places that's like, I really want my wife going to this place, and it's just like, I gotta let her do her thing. But then just I don't know if I want her to go. Well, anyway, so I get this dream, and this is like a freaking movie idea, dude. And it's basically, she gets kidnapped, like a freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger movie in Colombia. And I'm like, what do I do? So I tap into my West Point network of like people. I'm like, who's like a badass out there, like knows all this, like how to kill people, how to hunt people down, shit. Like, and then I get this huge community of people. It starts this like GoFundMe to like fund this massive freaking effort where I'm gonna lead this. I suit up with them, man. I throw like the freaking Kevlar on and everything. I'm going with these ex-Navy SEALs and Green Berets and West Point grads down to Colombia to go get my wife back. And that was my dream. And then Marissa, and
So
I
you
wake
saw
up.
the movie Taken. I mean, that's a great. Yeah, good job.
I think
Great job, AJ. Great.
Yeah.
Taken.
Yeah, so that.
No, it's a. I get, yeah. But you're. I get it. I get what you're
What do you mean you get it?
Well, I
You
get
don't
that
get it.
You're
You don't understand. When your wife is going to freaking Colombia,
Well,
But
I would never let her go to
in fairness, it's for Jesus. Okay, so you can't be that pissed.
Right.
So it's like, okay, yeah, it's for Jesus, so you're good. But it's Colombia, and it's just kind of like, it's just that part of it. But that was my story on sex trafficking and weirdos from Wisconsin. How we doing on time?
We got about 2 minutes here.
Oh, nice.
Sweet. Okay.
We could talk like 2 hours on that.
Oh yeah, we could
the
just keep
Making
going
a
on
Murderer.
Making a Murderer
Yeah.
forever. But the facts are the facts, guys. He's freaking guilty. Let's just be honest with ourselves here. Dude's guilty. They set some extra evidence up on him just so they could make sure they were getting it passed through or confirming the guilt, making it compelling enough. And, they did a pretty good job of it because in his defense, the DA, the investigators, they are way sharper people than anybody else in this whole thing. So it's like, I could see this Fassbender guy and all those other ones. We're gonna find them all for you guys when we start this documentary that Mike and I are gonna start. We're gonna go out there. I'm just totally shitting. I've got way better things to do with my life right now than investigate some cold case murder.
Yeah, I think that's We'll let Netflix continue the series.
Yeah, we'll just wait for the third one.
Yeah.
We'll just wait for the third one. We got other movies coming at you, though. Tons of other good stuff. More videos on personal growth ventures we're going to make you guys watch because it's going to be a hell of a time. So, well, that really pretty much wraps it up, guys. You guys have anything else you wanted to add tonight? Dan?
I thought we did good. I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
I think we need to watch another documentary series and.
Yeah.
So if you guys got recommendations
send
for
recommendations.
documentaries, shows, Netflix stuff that we're supposed to watch, send it, put it in the comments, put it in our DMs, but comments would be great. And then we can go watch it and get back to you with some kind of review. Also, if movies come out, you guys are like, hey, what do you guys think of this movie? Put it in the comments. Let us know, and we'll review it too. We did Lion King last week, so if you want to hear that, you got to listen to last week's episode. But we're looking for stuff to watch, check out, analyze, deep dive, because that's what we do here on Winners Waltz Worldviews Live. So with that said, everybody, thank you so much. Go to personalgrowthventures.com to get a little sample taste of this personal growth retreat that we're going to have in St. Lucia, the beautiful island in the Caribbean. If you want more information, go personalgrowthventures.com. If you want to see any of these podcasts or hear more about it, go to aaronjarmstrong.com. Thanks so much, guys. Be somebody. What's up, everybody? This is your host, AJ Armstrong. You can follow me on Instagram at AaronArmstrong33. That's Aaron Armstrong 33, or you can go to my website, aaronjarmstrong.com. Thanks so much for listening through to the end. I wanted to also introduce you guys to our Facebook community. So you can go to Winners Waltz Worldviews on Facebook, and it's a group where we can offer, different opportunities for you guys to ask questions. If you have a Q&A or something in your business or a challenge in your life that you want to bring up, that's the community to ask it, and then I can also share that with all of our listeners on our social media platforms. The final thing I wanted to share with you guys is something that Marissa and I have been so excited for. It's been really chomping at me to freaking tell you guys, and it's our Personal Growth Ventures Retreat. So our Personal Growth Ventures Retreat is going to be located on the island of St. Lucia. It's going to be a business seminar combined with personal growth and development, and we're also adding in something nobody else has ever done in a seminar that I have heard of, and that's fitness and adventure. So these are the things that are going to help push us to our limits. It's going to help us break through our fears, and these adventures are going to be one of a kind. If you want to find out more about what our adventures entail, what's going to be involved in the education session, and where this is all going to be happening and when, you can go to our website, personalgrowthventures.com. That's personalgrowthventures.com. It's also going to be located in the show notes. So with that said, guys, thanks so much for listening through to the end. Once again, go be somebody.